Hello, my name is Andy Lanning and I'm going to be your instructor for Microsoft Word 2016. This is just a short course, just over 30 minutes. You could do this over your lunch hour. But in this course, there's some pretty powerful lessons, like how to finely control tabs and indents, what items on your screen should be viewable at all times to make your project work with you instead of against you, and just setting up the screen so it's actually functional and useful and helpful. So stay with me. You're going to learn a lot. I'm going to even teach you the super secret of Microsoft Word, and oh yes, there is a super secret. So again, I've been teaching this for 20 years. I've been using Microsoft Word for over 25 years. It's okay. I know what you need to know, and I'm going to teach it to you in this course. So I will see you in the first video. Thank you. Hello, my name is Andy, and we're going to start by customizing the Quick Access toolbar. Now, it sits above your File and your Home ribbon in the top left-hand corner. It is the most important toolbar there is, and yet it's located way up there with only 3 buttons on it. We're going to change that right now so your screen will become functional, useful, intuitive. All right, here's how to do it. If you'll go ahead and right up here, hit your drop-down arrow and take a look at this list. I need you to put a check mark on each one of the buttons that shows up. Yes, I know this list disappears every time we click one. I don't like it, but it happens. And well, I guess the good news is you only have to do this once. All right, after you have all those buttons selected and on there, take a look at the very bottom of the list. We have more commands and show below the ribbon. So I want you to go ahead and click show below the ribbon and watch what happens. There you go. Now our quick access bar is right next to our work area. All right, what we want to do now is add a few extra buttons on there, and then we'll customize it with the more commands. Now, the font style and size are pretty important, and no matter where I'm at in Microsoft Word, at a glance, I want to know what's the font and size of this particular word. So we're going to add those simply with the right mouse button. Now, the right mouse button happens to be super secret number 1 of computers. Anytime you have the question, how do I? The answer is usually 95% of the time, right click. All right. So if I right click on Calibri, I just get cut, copy, paste. But if I right click on the drop down arrow of Calibri, of course, I get the entire list. Thank you, Microsoft 2016. I have to do it twice. So right click again on the drop down arrow. And now I get, if you read the list, I get the very first one, add to quick access toolbar. So I'm going to go ahead and activate that one. And there it is. It added to my toolbar. So as you can see, I can add buttons on the fly. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next one on the size. So instead of the 11, I'm going to hit the drop down arrow. I get the numbers, hit it again. Now I get add to quick access. It is your responsibility as a good computer user to always read these lists, become familiar with them, so you'll begin to anticipate what's there and you'll be a better, stronger, faster computer user. All right. Now the next 2 buttons is A up and A down. That means font larger. Add to quick access, font smaller. Love these buttons. They're new in the 2010, 13, and 2016 versions. I don't need to add bold, italicize, underline because I can do Control B, Control I, Control U for those. Let's see. I do want to add this little button right over here, the Format Painter, one of the best buttons in the world ever invented. Add that to my quick access. And we're going to add a few more. In fact, we're going to add so many more that I actually made a list for you. So everything on this list is your homework assignment, and I would like you to go through, find these buttons, and add them to the quick access toolbar, but there's a second way to do the same chore. So that is, if you hit the drop down arrow at the end of the quick access toolbar, way down here at the bottom it says more commands. So I'll go ahead and activate that. And what happens here is we have an entire list of all the commands available. Let me see if I can shorten that up. Here we go. These are the popular commands, and notice that my little scroll box in the scroll bar is this little box represents one full screen length. So I got about 1, 2, about 3 screen lengths of buttons here. Well, when I change popular commands to all commands, look how small this box gets right over here. Look how small that just got. Got about 1,000 commands in here. And basically you can sort of type your way to it. So let me show you how this works. On the right hand side is my current set of buttons. I'm going to activate save. I'm going to highlight blue on the right. I'm going to come over to the left, click into the left. That locks in the all commands at the top, makes active the left hand side. Now I can type the letter S. That's as far as I go. I can't type any other letter. Just S takes me to the S alphabet. But now there's a button here that says Save As. Now, when I double click Save As, it's going to land right under Save because I had already selected that. So I double click, 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 and there it is, Save As right there. Now, I could have hit Add and it would have worked just as well. So that is how you're going to go through and find this entire list. Whoops, I got to hit OK. That's how you're going to go through and find this entire list. Now I have this on a handout that's available for download. And let me just teach you one more little trick. I also uploaded my quick access bar settings for you to download on your own. So I'm going to go right back to more commands. And when we're in here, let me shorten this little screen. Okay, when we're in here, down on the bottom right, it says Import Export. When I click Import Export, I can import customization file. I have uploaded my file for you in case you'd like to just get this over with and import the Word customization UI and hit Open and hit Yes. And there we have it, all done in one fell swoop. That's a good way to cheat on this. It's okay to cheat on this particular one. When you hit OK, now you've got all of my buttons that I use in my Microsoft Word program on your screen. So anyway, that's in the video file downloads as well. So, okay, on to the next video. See you there. Thank you. Bye. Hello. All right, in this lesson, we're going to talk about the file ribbon and just set up a couple more things to make your screen more productive. So first of all, on the file ribbon, when I activate that, all the ribbons vanish, and the only way to get back to your main screen is this back arrow right over here. So when I click that, you can see the main screen reappears. All right, go ahead and click File again. Let's stay there for a moment and notice we have a left-hand panel, but the default option is Info. Now the Info simply tells you you have the option to protect a document, also called encryption with password. And right down here we have manage document, and this is where you would recover an unsaved document in case you close one and don't save the changes. If it was open long enough to do an autosave, which is every 10 minutes, then you will be able to recover that, and it actually works. It's kind of cool. All right, another feature is in the open. So when I activate open, your recent files will show up right over here on the right-hand side. Now, they are chronological, you can tell by the dates, but if there's a particular file that I'm always going to once a week or every day I've got to open that file, you don't have to go down the list. All you have to do is float your mouse over the top and notice a little push pin shows up right over here. Now, I don't like that the push pins vanish. I don't like the mysteries. Just leave them on all the time, but just so you know that they are there. Now, when I pin this in place, it pops up to the top under a section called Pinned. So it is kind of nice. And then when you unpin it, it'll drop back down into its chronological order, and there you have it. Okay, now another thing going on the left-hand side, which you can't really see, is by default, 6 most recent documents show up. They've put them on the bottom of this list over here. But I want you to pay attention and watch what happens when I pin one of these. I'm going to pin this one called Section 3, Lesson 19. When I pin it to the top, and now if we take a look at the list at the bottom, that pinned one became the very top one. So your pinned documents sit on top of your most recent documents. So just pointing that out to you. They actually took away some functionality in here. And so if I want to open something on this PC, it shows me my file locations. Well, there used to be an option in previous versions where I could actually pin the file location. They've disabled that functionality. I don't agree with that, but I just wanted to point it out to you. And so here we also have the browse button, which will actually take you into your file system, and you can dig around until you find the right file. But mostly, please use the search desktop or the search section with the magnifying glass. It'll find your files for you very fast. So, all right, I'll go ahead and cancel that, and we'll go out of here. And I want to show you one thing I want you to set up on your screen. If you'll click on the View ribbon, right over here on the left, we have Navigation pane. When you activate that, you get a little pane onto the left-hand panel for headings, pages, and results. The pages is kind of how I leave mine set all the time. And if I'm finding things, I'll go ahead and click on results and do a search for a certain word. But when you have multiple pages in here, this is a very handy panel. In fact, I leave mine open all the time when I'm in Microsoft Word. So I would just highly recommend having that on there. Okay, that's it for this lesson, the file ribbon and setting up the navigation pane on the left-hand panel. And let's keep going. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Hello, in this lesson I want to teach you about setting tabs. It's an advanced feature, so you might want to watch the video a couple times. First of all, let's go ahead and start on the view ribbon because I want to make sure that yes, you do have a check mark on ruler. You don't do tabs without the ruler. Okay, let's go back to the home ribbon. I do have some text on my screen and little tiny pictures, but I want to show you one more feature before we get going, and that is the show hide codes. When I activate that, a bunch of codes show up on my screen. This is how I work in Excel with these codes on. It's your option. You don't have to work that way, but I'm telling you, especially when you're working with tabs, you want to know where your tab settings have been placed. That little tiny arrow between the word left and the actual symbol, that is a tab setting. So we absolutely want to see those when we're working in tabs. In fact, I'm going to leave mine on for the rest of this lesson. Now, so we have our ruler up on top, we have a ruler on the left, and right over here on the left side, this is the tab selection tool. And you could just click and toggle through all of these. Well, the first one in the list is the left tab. In fact, when I float my mouse there, it says left tab. So now that I have that one selected, whoops, I shouldn't have clicked, it was selected. Okay, now that I have it selected, I'm going to go ahead and place a left tab on number 3. And you're going to see this since I already have a tab. I've already hit the tab button on my keyboard. I have a tab arrow there. When I hit the 3, it moves directly to that spot. When I click and hold, you can see the guideline, which shows me it aligns left of the item that I just tabbed over to that spot. Okay, so if I decide to move that, I can click and drag and move that tab setting on my ruler. If I decide I don't want it at all, I simply click and drag it right off. There you go. So we set it, we move it, we check it with a click and a hold, and we drag it off, just like that. Okay, I'm going to set that on the 3. The next one in the lineup is the center tab. So I'll go ahead and activate the line where I want the center tab to appear. I'll go ahead and activate the 3. And this time when I click and hold, look, it goes right directly center of the item that I wanted to push over there. Now I'm going to do the right tab. I activate the line where I want the tab, click over here. There's my right tab setting. I'm going to put that on the 3 again. I'm doing this purposely on the 3 so you can see how they all line up differently based on which tab setting you've chosen. Now the decimal, I don't really have anything to line up with the decimal, so I'll go ahead and type 599 in there. And we're going to click on this decimal setting. It has a little tiny polka dot, that means decimal. I'll put that on the 4.5 to really move that over. Now when I click and drag and hold that one, dissects right through that decimal. And then a bar tab, which I think is ridiculous. Okay, it has nothing to do with alcoholism, although Microsoft drives us to drink. So they gave us bar tabs inside Microsoft Word. Okay, so it's a joke. You can laugh. It's ridiculous. So here we go. I've selected the bar tab over here on my tab selection tool. I'm going to go ahead and click on the 2. And it literally draws a bar on the screen. Now when I hit enter, that bar continues down to the next line. It's kind of cool if you need that in there. Notice nothing else happened, just the bar drew itself even beyond the paragraph mark. Kind of cool. Now let's go ahead and talk about these. Let's see, I guess every one of these is on a separate line so they didn't cross over each other. I've got some text in here. Okay, so I've got my name and I've got your name. So I'm going to click into this line and I want my name to be pushed over. Going to get my left selection tab and click on number 1. Notice nothing moved. Why not? Because I don't have a tab in front of the word my. So I'm going to go ahead and press my tab key. There you go. Now it pushed it right over there. I want the phone number to align center on at the, let's see, the 3-inch, and it is center. And I want a decimal tab to be over on the 5, and there you go. And I'm going to draw a bar tab right at the 4.5 inch. Okay, so I did a lot of work there. And it looks very nice, looks very professional. I want all those same tabs right down here on your name and number. Well, I'm not going to do all that work again because I'm a lazy person or efficient. And so what I'm going to do is select the line that I like. I'm going to come up here to this button. It's called the Format Painter. It's going to copy format, not text, copy format, and I'm going to paint the format on the next line. Activate it once, I can use it once. Activate it twice, double click it, I can use it as many times as I want. So now, look at my mouse, has a cute little paintbrush attached. I'm going to come over to the left and I'm going to wipe that paintbrush right over that entire line and let go. And there you go. It matches except for what happened to your name. How come that's not over there? You tell me. It's because there's no tab in front of it, right? So I click there, hit tab, and now they're lined up. They're perfect. Now when I click on this one, the My Name, look at all the tab settings. Click on the Your Name, look at all the tab settings. Click on any one of these paragraph marks in between, tab settings are gone because I don't have them set there. All right, that's how you do tabs. Practice it, review it. Thank you. Hello, in this lesson I want to show you about indents. Now indents are always done on the ruler, so let's start there. Make sure on your view ribbon that you do have your ruler checked, all right? Now if you'll take a look at your ruler, on the left-hand side we have our indent buttons. Now it might look like an hourglass, but it's not. It's actually two separate animals here. If you float your mouse on the bottom portion, it actually says left indent. If you float your mouse on the top portion, it says first line indent. And way over here on the right hand side of your ruler, that one says right indent. Okay, so in this paragraph, and this document is available for you to download to practice with as well. In this paragraph, what we're going to do is actually set a first line indent. Okay, so my insertion point is in front of the paragraph, and I'm going to hit my tab key. I'm not going to do anything with these markers right here, but I want you to keep your eye on them. I'm going to go ahead and hit tab. And look what happened. No little arrow showed up, like in my tab settings lesson, no arrow showed up, but take a look at the ruler. So it left my left indent right there, but my first line indent is moved over. Now, if for some reason you don't want that deep of an indent, a whole half an inch, you want to pull it back, you simply click and drag that back with your arrow. The only thing I can tell you here is make sure the very point of your mouse is actually in that tool, not beside it, not under it, in it. Okay, the point of the mouse is what activates it. All right, so that is your first line indent. Let's go ahead and do a left indent. In this case, I absolutely want the entire paragraph to be pushed in half an inch. All right, so I'm not going to hit my tab key. I'm actually going to float my mouse right here on the bottom of this hourglass looking animal, and I'm going to click and drag it and move it. And notice the top one comes along with it. It's just the way it's programmed. They travel together unless I force them to separate. So when I let go, there I have it, a left indent, a completely flush left indent. All right, let's do a hanging indent. Now a hanging indent generally you'll see with numbered items or bulleted items. So number 1 is on the left and the rest of the paragraph is over a little bit. So we start that with the bottom, the left indent. So we're going to pull that all the way to the half inch. And now I'm going to take the top of it, the first line indent, and I'm going to pull that to the left. Okay. So there you go. That's called a hanging indent. The rest of the paragraph is hanging under the first line. Now we have a double indent. If you are quoting anyone or if you are a journalist and you have to put quotes around a paragraph, you always double indent a quote from anyone. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and select my entire paragraph. A double click will select a word. A triple click will select an entire paragraph. I guess I didn't have to do that, but I just wanted to show you that trick. And so a double indent is typically a 1-inch indent on both the left and the right side. So I'm going to select the paragraph, float my mouse on the bottom, and move that over 1 inch. And now over on the right hand side, I'm going to move that back 1 inch. There we go. That is a properly quoted paragraph. Of course, if you are quoting someone, you're absolutely going to double space. So I would triple click 1, 2, 3 and press Control 2 to double space that. I'll review that again in the line spacing video. So that is how you do indents. There is one more way. If I go up to my home ribbon, and right in here we have a paragraph section, and this little box, this little arrow right here, will take you right into your indent and spacing. So you can get very technical with all your indents, spacing before and after paragraphs, all of this. Again, I'll be talking about the spacing in the next video, but right now, just so you know, if you want to actually technically type your indents, you have that option. So, okay, I hope that helps you with indents. Thank you. Hello, in this lesson, I want to show you the difference between line spacing and paragraph spacing. Now, line spacing simply means the space that is between the lines of text. Paragraph spacing, of course, is the space between the paragraphs, all right? So what we're going to do is we're just going to click into a paragraph. You don't even have to select a paragraph. If you want to select a paragraph, please remember a double click will select a word, a triple click, 1, 2, 3, we'll select a paragraph. It's just faster to do it that way than to click and drag, okay? But since this is a paragraph feature, we don't even have to select the whole paragraph. All right, so for line spacing, right up here, we have a button in the paragraph section called line and paragraph spacing. When you hit the drop down arrow, you can choose 1.15. Now, I'm going to go ahead and float my mouse through these. Just watch the background. Watch how the paragraph adjusts itself. 1.5 lines of space, a double spacing, 2.5, triple spacing. Look at that. I can just float my mouse through. Sometimes it's a little difficult, a little frustrating to try to find this button because there's so many that look the same. So I want to show you a trick or teach you a trick. On your keyboard, you can press Control 2, double spacing. Control 1, single spacing. Control 5 is 1.5. So it'd be 1.5, Control 5. I discovered that once when I was teaching a class at the college, and one of the students was trying to hit the @ sign with a Shift 2, but kept pressing Control 2 and the paragraph space, and that's how I learned that years and years ago. It was awesome to learn those little things by mistake. So anyway, just so you know, there's 2 ways to do it, on the keyboard or, of course, on this little button, and you can change it right there. The keyboard only has limited features of 1, 1.5, and 2, whereas this has quite a few. All right, that's line spacing. Now let's go to paragraph spacing. Paragraph spacing is basically how much room between the paragraphs, all right? And so I'm going to go ahead and show my codes. That is the button right here. I'll click on that one, and we can see I just have one paragraph hard return at the end of each of the paragraphs, and there is some space already there. So in this case, I am going to select all 3 paragraphs because I want to control the spacing within them. So I'm going to go right back to that button, the line and paragraph spacing, and I'm going to go to, well, I do have this, add space before the paragraph, or remove space after the paragraph. Let's start there. Let's just remove all the space. This would be the old-fashioned typewriter way, okay? And we'd have to put a double enter right there. So I'll highlight those again. We'll come right back to this, and I'll go ahead, I can just default let it choose how much space, or I can control it by going to the line spacing options. When I click on that, now I can come right down here and tell it before the line I want 12 points, and after the line I want 12 points. And single is fine, and then just hit enter to accept it, and you can see what happened. Of course, I can change those at any time, remove space, or go back to line and change it again. But I just want you to know that it's really easy to control how much space is in there. Now, the reason I want to show you that is if I were to hit enter again, watch what happens. It still puts that much space. So sometimes you'll wonder, how come there's so much space between these paragraphs? Because there's probably some auto space added to that hard return. If you want to go back to the old typewriter way, you just take that line spacing down to no spacing at all. Just remove it all before, remove it all after, and that is the old-fashioned typewriter way where we had to put in that extra return between our paragraphs. So there you have it, line spacing and paragraph spacing. Okay, thank you. Hello, in this lesson, I'd like to show you how to actually attach an envelope to an electronic letter. For those of you who still print letters and mail them, you might want to print an envelope occasionally. So the benefit of this is instead of having just a letter file and then an envelope file, you can combine them. So you're not hunting down 2 documents to print all the time. All right, so first of all, I do have a letter on my screen, and if you click the mailings ribbon up on top, way over on the left-hand side, you have an option that says envelopes. When I activate envelopes, it comes right open and it asks you for the delivery address, which I'll go ahead and type a random address, and then the return address. Now, if you're using a self-addressed envelope, of course, you don't need a return address, but I'll go ahead and put one in just for the fun of it. And then way at the bottom, we have an option. I don't know if you can see it. It might be outside the screen. It says add to document. Now, generally, if I want to hit print, I'm just going to print it right now, and the envelope only will print. But I'm going to go ahead and add to document and watch my screen, see what happens in the background. No, I don't want that to be my default. Now, what happened was it just put an envelope on top of my screen. It doesn't really look like an envelope until I scroll down, and there you go. I've got the letter down below, full-size letter, but up on top, there sits an envelope. So now I can print that with Control P, I'll hit Control P, and that opens up, and you can see that page 1 is my envelope. So if I only wanted to print page 1, instead of print all pages, I would change this to print current page, all right? And then down below, if I scroll down, I do have an option to look at page 2 to see the full letter. You see how that works? Okay, let me see. There we go. So there's my full letter on page 2, and just the envelope to print on page 1. So you can print both pages, just one page. It's your choice. It's really simple to do. It's kind of an old school trick to even know about, that you can add an envelope to the top of a document. It's kind of cool. All right, thank you. Hello. All right, this lesson is about bullets and numbering, and if you don't understand them, it will make you crazy. So I'm here to demystify the whole process. So first of all, I've got to have a list to work with, right? So I'll go ahead and type eggs and produce and milk and, oh, yeah, if I could type actually, milk and chicken. So I've got my little list there, and I decide I want that all bulleted. So I'll press Control A, that will select it all, and I'll come right up here and I'll hit the bullet button. Now the bullet button puts boring little polka dots on the side. You don't have to have boring little polka dots. If you hit the drop down arrow right here, you can choose anything that's in here, or you can come right over here to define new bullet, all right? So if I define new bullet and choose symbol or picture or font, picture, you could actually put your boss's picture as a bullet. I'm not kidding, I've done it. It's great fun. Okay, so symbol. I'll go ahead and click on symbol. And in here we have a set of bullets for every possible font style there is. So see all these font styles? You just choose one and then you pick the bullet that you want to use and hit OK. And whatever it is, that symbol now becomes the bullet, okay? So what if that bullet is too big or too small? You could just select the bullet section, and once you click one bullet, you kind of select the whole line of them. Notice I'm not selecting the text there, just the bullets, and you can change the font style. Okay, so let's see. If I click, or on this particular top one, it says bullets and numbering, I made a mistake. I didn't intend to put bullets on there. So I'm just going to turn off the bullets on that line. Just unclick it. It's on when it's gray, so turn it off and it's gone. Now under produce, I want produce, but I want to put lettuce and carrots. I don't want these extra bullets to show up. These are subcategories. So all I have to do is select those 3 and uncheck bullets. Well, the problem is it slams to the left. So there's a new issue. So first of all, let's step up into an advanced mode, because now I've got a problem I'm dealing with. I've got to see my codes in the background. I'm on my home ribbon. I have this little paragraph mark right here. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. Great, I can see my codes. So let's go ahead and start over with the lettuce and the carrots, all right? I'm just going to delete those and we're going to kind of regroup. Right after produce, instead of hitting enter, which gives me another bullet, enter again gets rid of the bullet, okay? Instead of just hitting enter, I'm sorry, I pressed Control Z to undo that. You need to know Control Z. I'm going to press Shift Enter. Now, Shift Enter is a line break, not a paragraph break, a line break. So I'm going to hit Shift Enter. No bullet showed up. I can type lettuce. Now, if I hit Enter, I get a bullet. Control Z to undo that. Shift Enter just drops it down a line, okay? And now I can type carrots with no bullet. It's kind of great, all right? So that's the difference between hitting Enter and hitting Shift Enter. All right, so now let's do this whole thing again, but this time let's use numbering. So first of all, I'm just going to type eggs and hit enter. Now I'm going to go back up to eggs and I'm going to activate numbering, just the 1, 2, 3, hit numbering. Now notice it indented it. You can take a look at the indent on the ribbon to see what's going on there. It's called a hanging indent. And so right after eggs, I'm going to hit enter and I'm going to type produce. Now I know after produce, I'm kind of repeating the same process I just did with bullets, but after produce, I want lettuce and carrots, but I don't want a number on them. So I know going in that I'm going to hit Shift Enter to drop down the line. I'm going to type lettuce. Shift Enter, and I'm going to type carrots. Now when I hit Enter, it's going to fill in line number 3. Enter. There's number 3. Okay, and so now I can type milk, hit Enter, chicken. Okay, so now I hit enter one last time because I'm done with it, but I get a number 5. Okay, just going to go up here and turn off numbering for that line. Turn it off. Now I'm going to make number 4 red. I just purposely am making it red because I want to prove a point to you. So I want to rearrange these and move them around within here. So I'm going to select chicken, which I've made red, and I'm going to bump it up right above milk. And you're going to see they will auto renumber themselves. There's a quick trick to doing this. It's Alt-Shift-Arrow key will jump up. It's almost plays leapfrog, right? So I can jump up again and again. Now notice the red one is uh, auto renumbering itself. I'm not doing any extra work. So anyway, that's how you jump around. Alt Shift arrow keys to jump up and down, leapfrog over other paragraphs. So that is it, folks. That is a trick about bullets and numbering. It'll make you crazy if you don't know these items, but honestly, replay this video a couple times, get good at this. It'll save you so much wasted frustration and time and sanity. So thanks so much. Hi, in this lesson, I want to just teach you the super secret to Microsoft Word. And I realized it one day when I was actually teaching a class, it just hit me. I'm like, oh my goodness, I figured it out. Well, keep in mind this was after 12 years of teaching it. So what you're about to learn will change how you behave in Word, I guess. So I've got a bunch of text right here. And notice that when I click through the text, you can visually see that every one of them is different. And this is where the problem lies, is we're so ingrained to just look at the text on the screen that we don't lift our eyes up to the tools until we actually want to do something. But it's the tools go beyond just doing something. They help you figure out what is happening with the text on your screen. So I'll click in this first line and nothing is lit up at all, nothing at all. I can see Calibri 16. I click into the second line and suddenly the bold turns gray. They used to turn orange, they used to turn green, now they turn gray. Every version is a different color. The next line, oh, the italicized turn this time. So see, I'm not applying things, but I'm using those buttons to see what has been applied. So basically what I'm saying is, down here is the problem. When you move your eyes up here, that's the answer. So when someone sends me a document that they're having trouble with, what I do is I just basically sit back in my chair, get ready with my finger over my arrow keys, and I start arrowing down. But I'm not looking at the text on the screen. I'm looking at the buttons up on top. What buttons are flashing on and off? What's changing up there? I'm just arrowing down. Can you see all the little buttons changing? And now in this one, it's yellow text. Nothing highlighted up there. It happens to be this button right here. That didn't light up, but that's okay. I can pretty much tell that there's yellow text behind that thing. This one, nothing lit up in this set, but by golly, the font style changed. Now let's take it a step further. I'm going to keep arrowing down into some paragraph settings. Now I use this little example here in the tab setting video. So take a look at the ruler, okay? You can look at the fonts and those buttons, but take a look at the ruler, how that changes as I go from one line to the next. Even the tab settings are different. They flash on, they flash off. So this line has tabs, the next line doesn't have tabs. That's why they don't look the same. To fix it, I just select the first line, hit the Format Painter, select the second line, and now the tab settings on the ruler, they stay the same. Okay, let's go down to the next one, the indents. Now in this case, you're going to watch this little animal over here on the left. So I'm going to arrow down into the next line, and there it is. It just moved, okay? So on this line, it's a flush left. Arrow down, and my indent changed to a first line indent. That's the indicator right there. Now watch what happens when I go into the left indent. There it is. It moved right, right over to the ½ inch mark. Okay, I'm going to scroll down. Let's go to the hanging indent. See what that one looks like? There it is, hanging indent. Do you see what happens? I don't have to sit and figure out what happened. It's telling me what happened. Just get your eyes off the problem and up to the solution, and you'll be able to handle whatever problem comes your way. All right, thank you. All right, well, that is the end of the Microsoft Word crash course, the key ingredients for Word 2016. I hope you learned some great new tips. And so now you're probably wondering, now what? Well, the next thing you need to do is basically work on some projects. You got to use your new cool skills and ask questions. You can ask me questions off to the side in the instructor area, and take more courses. I also have an Excel course. I have an Outlook course out there. Take them, and you're going to continue to learn more things. But the best thing I can tell you, though, is the super secret number 1, right click. Anytime you have the question, how do I, hit your right mouse button. And super secret number 2, anytime, especially in Word, when something goes bad, just hit Control Z. It'll come right back. Don't forget those two. Thank you again, and I hope it was worth your time. Thank you.